return to the beautiful and cold conditions of Switzerland for race day 13. It's the Drone Champions League, the World Championship of Professional Drone Racing Teams. I'm Matt Andrews and we are thoroughly into our Split 2 for 2023. Two matchups for you today, starting with Cyclone Racing, who have got the Ice Cheetah, Fluorescent, J-Box and Zion. They're in a really good position in our leaderboard. They're going to be battling for more points against Quad Force 1. They're currently in 6th place, just hanging on to the places for our live Split 2 finals. AK Drones, Propsicle, QT FPV and Hyper need to score some more. The second matchup is SDT Perpetuum coin from Spain, who've brought Blessed, Silvio, Danube and Shrimpy Boy. They've been in some really close battles recently. They've got a tough one today. It's the two-time reigning world champions, Raiden Racing. Madx, Vincent Mines, Matteo and Yuki. Raiden are in 4th on our leaderboard. That is not where they'd expect to be, but it's been a mixed season split for them so far. On the other hand, if SDT can get a big win past them, they could steal 4th from them today. Our track today is a return to the wonderful location of Lax, 2,252 metres above sea level in Switzerland, where we started our 2019 World Championship season. There was real life flying here in the simulator on an exact copy. We are now going to corkscrew this bridge before we head to the castle. All these amazing ramps in the middle. We do a 180 turn in and out of that before the dive chute straight down the middle. Then 2 more 180s here and 1 more coming up. After that DCL gate on the side might trip a few pilots up, but once they've completed it, a brief slalom before we head to the Torvol switchback. I can expect some pilots to get really close to the top of that on the inside. A bit more off-piste flying before we go under this cable car into Europe's longest half pipe, which we've filled with ladders. Left hand up, right hand down. Another left hand ascending ladder and a right hand descending one. Then a DCL gate, comparatively simple, before we go left and right and left and right and left again out of a slalom. Then the Galaxy building awaits for a turn onto the next lap or a dive to the finish. So let's go racing, everybody, with Cyclone Racing against Quad Force 1 to kick us off today. The Ice Cheetah and Zion FPV against Propsicle and QT FPV. Cyclone in purple, Quad Force 1 in dark blue, and 1/10 of a second is all that separates all 4 pilots. Through SW Project, and then we'll turn and head towards the bridge that we're going to corkscrew as we go on board with the Ice Cheetah, who's nicely in the middle of things at the moment. There's the first and then the second of the 180s, and the dive chute down the middle sees him follow Propsicle and alongside his teammate Zion. Another turn and climb up through there, just about making it. It's all a little bit tight for the Ice Cheetah. He's in 3rd and 4/10 behind the leader. His teammate Zion is the one who's very close to Propsicle and just passing him there. Now we'll go out towards the half pipe, into the ladder. Zion currently in the lead, about 2/10 ahead of Propsicle, bit close to that one. Too early on the 3rd. Oh, turned too early on the 3rd, has managed to complete them now, but he's dropped down into 3rd place. QT FPV is a decent way behind him. It's Propsicle now back in the lead, and the Ice Cheetah, who we see here starting lap number 2, is almost a second behind him. Going to have to claw that back a little bit at a time on every corner that he can, as Propsicle is so experienced. The captain of Quad Force 1, been such an important pilot for them, and he is known for just flying some of the most challenging tracks we have absolutely beautifully. The Ice Cheetah through the dive chute. Oh, he's got caught on the exit of it. And again, won the reset. Oh, the Ice Cheetah has lost a load of time. Firmly at the back now. His teammate Zion is the one to chase in 2nd. Oh, now that is extremely close to the bar. As I mentioned, some pilots might dare to try it. Doing that caught Propsicle by about 3/10 of a second. Now he's going to have to make sure he doesn't hit any of the ladders on the second lap as he did on the first. Pre-turning early again, but that one's safe. Oh, the 4th one was very dangerous. And aggressively swinging through the slalom and just trying to hang on to Propsicle by the odd 100th of a second here or there. He's now 7/10 behind him with 1 lap to go. Moving up towards SW Project through that tunnel. Zion, 6/10 behind Propsicle, trying to gain on him as we go corkscrew. Now into the castle. Propsicle can't afford to make any mistakes at all, but he very rarely does. Here's the 180s. This should all be fairly straightforward for him. Got a little close to the wall, but it was deliberate so that he could swing out to the right and carry more speed. And doing so, he's stretched slightly further ahead of Zion, who's high here and caught the snow in the middle. He was underneath the railings, but he caught the top of the ramp instead. Oh, that's surely ruined his chase for the 4 points for the win here. He's nearly 2 seconds behind Propsicle as they synchronise their way up through the half-pipe into the slalom for Propsicle. Just the Galaxy climb and dive to the finish gate afterwards. Zion will come in second, but there's a race on between third and fourth, and the Ice Cheetah now moves past QT FPV. They dive down towards the finish.
Ah, dang it.
Nice try, nice try.
Ah, right. Well, that was the best I could do.
All Gucci.
GG.
Oh, thank God, Cheetah.
Sorry about
Thank
that, guys.
God.
Oh,
my
thank God.
Holy
That was close. Okay.
A clear win for Propsicle out in front and 4 points for Quad Force 1. Cyclone, though, stole a little bit more than they expected after the Ice Cheetah beat QT at the end by just 1/10. Look how close Zion is. Just underneath those rails, just scraping through. Let's see it from another angle. It's really smooth. That's where he overtook Propsicle, was out in the lead on lap number 1. Here's the Ice Cheetah going for the dive shoot. The entry was good. The exit, though, was a little bit too low. And then when he reset, he hit it again. Zion's final lap, ducks under the railings, catches the snow on the ramp. That put him into second, and Propsicle had it all to himself. Second 2v2 now, Fluorescent and J-Box for Cyclone Racing, AK Drones and Hyper in the dark blue for Quad Force 1. 5 points all after that first race, so it's all tied up. Fluorescent just a little bit behind on that turn, J-Box as well. Then it's AK Drones and out in front, Hyper. Very close between everybody into the corkscrew. Everyone flying pretty well at this stage. J-Box trying to smooth things up and stick with Hyper, who's flying well out in front. Now we'll go for the next of the 180s. J-Box getting nice and tight on that. Over to the left and then swing to the right like we saw Propsicle doing before. That's all good flying, and he carries on. A quarter of a second behind Hyper of Quad Force 1 into the Torval switchback. Yeah, maybe not quite so high and quite so dangerous as Zion was just now, but still quick for everybody. Although Hyper and J-Box have formed a bit of a gap between themselves in first and second, and the other two pilots, AK Drones and Fluorescent. J-Box chasing Hyper. Now into the slalom. J-Box just a little bit further behind than he was, and he's hit the fourth pylon. Oh, that's a surprise for someone as good as J-Box. Now Hyper is clear out in front, almost 2.5 seconds away. It's been absolutely flawless from him. Now he'll go through the SW Project Tunnel, head up to the bridge to corkscrew that, and Hyper is going to take some catching. Good work from him now into the castle, not troubled by anybody. AK Drones in third place. He's got a chance to catch J-Box for second, but it's a second between the two of them as it stands. Fluorescent, the new pilot for Cyclone Racing, is a long way behind. Oh, and J-Box just struggles to make the entry, so now it is a race between him and AK Drones, who has seized on that opportunity to catch him, and J-Box in more trouble at the Torval switchback. Now AK Drones is almost a second ahead of him instead of behind. Into the ladders, these two pilots fighting for second and third place as Hyper continues a long way in front of them. 5 seconds now. Fluorescent is over 5 seconds behind this pair, solidly in fourth place. So more points to be split between J-Box and AK Drones. Will we get another 5 points all out of this race? Remember, if your team come in first and fourth, that's 5 points. That's what happened just now. J-Box and AK Drones, barely thousandths of a second between them as they now head into the corkscrew. AK Drones here, just been caught by J-Box. He was comfortably ahead of him, remember, by almost a second. But J-Box is caught and he's going to try and pull away from him. Just on the right, we saw Hyper completing the dive gate, which is coming up. Exiting that, AK Drones still behind J-Box. Just a couple of tenths now. J-Box a little higher into the Torval gates. Not a problem for either of the pilots. Now we'll come up towards the ladder and J-Box is half a second ahead of AK Drones. Where did he find that? He's just a little bit smoother. AK Drones just struggling to flow it quite as well. And 6 seconds ahead of them, despite all that brilliant flying. Hyper is further ahead than he was. And at the finish, AK Drones or J-Box, it's looking like Cyclone is second.
Nice job, Ryan. That was good.
Heck yeah.
That was good. That was good. No, you're good. Like, you did what you needed to. You battled J-Box, he pulled away, so you just take that third. We get more points.
It's alright, good enough.
Alright, good.
That's bad.
It's okay.
Hyper was just out on his own, 6 seconds ahead of everybody at the finish with a really flawless run. Here's J-Box on the second lap, catching that gate that you have to switch back through, and that's when the race really began with him and AK Drones for second and third. On the first lap, J-Box crashed in the slalom. Here he enters it behind AK Drones, but exits in front of him. It is only 2 or 3 hundredths of a second, but that gap grows a little bit bigger again and again as J-Box smooths everything out. Look how clean this is. One big fluid movement in and out of the dive chute, and then flying back through the rest of the castle. And 1 lap ago, this is where he gave AK Drones the chance to catch him, but he is away here, and it becomes half a second's worth of lead, almost 1 second by the end. Meanwhile, Hyper is done. So it's the DCL Big Heat. All 8 pilots racing, 10 points available. And since it's 9 to 11, the Quad Force 1 just having a slight lead over Cyclone. Cyclone need to get into those top 4 places and grab a lot of points if they want to save this matchup. So 0.3 of a second between all 8 pilots. Now going into the corkscrews, and perhaps this will start to split things up. QTFPV goes a little bit further to the back. Fluorescent just ahead of him. And then everybody else still within a second of each other, and it's J-Box chasing Propsicle as we start to go up, down, and then head to the off-piste section. J-Box just going a little bit lower there. His second and third laps just now on that gate were really smooth, but he hasn't started off quite so cleanly on this Big Heat. Zion, his teammate, has caught him and passed him by almost half a second. Propsicle just half a second further up the slope. J-Box being really chunky, very awkward around those ladders. Hyper's passed him. The Ice Cheetah has passed him as well, and J-Box is out of the points for now. Here's Zion, just going up through that DCL gate to then chase Propsicle down through block trade and start lap number 2. Hyper from Quad Force 1 is just behind him in third, and then there's a bit of a gap before the Ice Cheetah is in the last of the scoring positions in fourth. Let's see what Zion can do as he corkscrews the bridge. And now needs to gain a bit more on Propsicle because Propsicle is getting away on all of these corners. Oh, it's this big old power loop. Nicely done into the dive chute. Zion doing good work there, but he hasn't gained any time in doing so. And his drop down was quick, but then he was a little bit hesitant getting out of there. He's got to catch up with Propsicle. He's under the rails, but he's hit them on the exits. Oh, Propsicle's going to get a little bit further away. So currently, it's 5 points all with the Ice Cheetah just getting past Hyper and moving up into third. J-Box and Fluorescent, they're the other 2 pilots from Cyclone. They are a little bit too far behind to make any dent on the scoring at the moment. Propsicle weaves his way around. We go back on board with Zion to chase him down like he did at the start of lap number 2. Only on to the final lap now. It's still a second between these 2 pilots. Hyper has gone a little bit further behind. It's looking like a comfortable Propsicle first, Zion second at the moment, and Hyper needs to hang on to that third place. But here's the Ice Cheetah chasing him down. A little bit closer than he's been. Half a second between the 2 of them. Going for that loop through the tunnel, and it's nicely done. He didn't hit it on the exit like we saw him do earlier. Now he's going straight through there, up and then dropping down and trying to get on the inside of Hyper. It's 0.4 of a second. He's got a fraction closer, but not much. They're both under the rails safely. It's very tight. And now Hyper has hit the pylon and is down. The Ice Cheetah passes him. Fluorescent passes him. Hyper has to pull an amazing recovery and catch Fluorescent, or 6 points are going to Cyclone. Zion chasing Propsicle, surely not going to catch him the way he's swinging around that slalom. Propsicle will be first, Zion will be second, and Cyclone are going to get third and fourth.
Yes!
Oh, yes.
Let's go!
Yes.
Oh, wow. That was
Holy hell.
Thank God.
Good
Let's
shit, guys.
go!
Good job.
I mean, we take the win then. We take the win because we have more points overall.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I've said it a few times. Propsicle can always get the win for Quad Force 1, but he can't do it all by himself. The J-Box had some struggles with the ladders down the half pipe. The second one was okay, but he hit the third one. Drones everywhere at this stage, of course, as it was all very near on the first lap. Now here's Hyper, third lap. Coming out of this obstacle, all good, but turns too tight. Hits the pylon not once, but twice, goes down, then has to recover, and that's how Cyclone got ahead of him. And in fact, Zion was a little overexcited when he was saying they had enough points to win. It's actually a dead heat between them, which means 1 point each in our leaderboard, not the score the teams were hoping for. STT Perpetuum Coin versus Raiden Racing now. Shrimpy Boy and Silvio to start things off with Maddox and Vincent Mayans. STT Perpetuum Coin in green. Raiden, the two-time reigning world champions. They're the team in yellow, and Mayans is out in front. Then there's a tenth of a second before the two pilots from STT. And Maddox, on one of his very first races in the DCL, is just slipping a little bit further behind. Now, we're on board with Silvio, who has been absolutely essential for STT Perpetuum Coin in recent race weeks. He's been quick, brave, and really smooth. And if you've missed any of the previous race days, remember, you can watch them all on the Drone Champions League YouTube channel. Silvio, 0.3 of a second behind Mayans as they go over the snow. Now coming into the ladders. These are obstacles that none of these pilots should have any issues with. I'd expect Silvio and Mayans to start leaving the others behind, and they do. Shrimpy Boy a second behind the pair of them, and a bit more now that the ladders have held him up slightly. But Silvio, his teammate, is still staying with Mayans. Just 0.4 between them on the start of lap number 2. Mayans in the lead, makes the turn, hits the ramp, loses the lead. Silvio goes past him, and that gap has swung the other way. Just a tiny little bump there for Mayans. It could have been worse, could have slowed him down a lot more. Instead, he's still in the chase, and look, he's already gaining on Silvio. Almost a power loop through the dive chute again. It's 0.25 of a second between these two. Silvio's going to have to make it really smooth, as he knows how good Mayans is when he's chasing. Over the snow, under the rails, all good for both of them. Silvio leads Mayans over towards the half pipe and again towards the ladders. They were both really good last time. Mayans is snaking around now, trying to get on the inside of Silvio all the time. Has moved a tenth or so closer. And Mayans is really good on the slalom. He's right underneath Silvio, but it's gone too wide. The last two pylons, he had to swing very wide with the speed he had. And he's in fact starting lap number 3 in a worse position than he was before the slalom. All good now. On these turns that tripped Mayans up just now. He'll corkscrew underneath. Coming out very close to the end of it. And very close to Silvio. Just briefly into the lead before Mayans slips back behind him again on a turn. Silvio trying to hang on to it. Mayans trying to get on the inside of him. This drop will be important for both of them. Mayans comes out just above Silvio, and Silvio pushes. It's 0.004 between them, if anything. Two pilots making the best out of each other, and now the ladders are looming once more as we go into this for the final time in this race. Silvio just sees Mayans just ahead of him, but not anymore as he's got past him with 0.05 of a second. And Silvio was quicker here than Mayans, but he's a little bit slower and wider as he swings through as Mayans got him on the final turn. There it is!
Yes! Yes!
And that's why he's the best finisher in the DCL.
¡Ah, tío! Buena, Silvio, buena. Muy buena.
Vincent Mayans, 4 points again for Raiden Racing. We've seen that many times. This is the final lap chase. Silvio just ahead of him, just behind him, just ahead of him. These were all good, and Silvio had it on the ladders. But then, much like Mayans on the previous lap, just a little bit wide on the exit of it, and there he comes on the inside. It's so close. Let's take a look at it from Vincent Mayans' perspective. Just ahead on the first and second ladders, then behind. And his slaloming, though, look how close he goes to the poles, and he's a lot lower down at this stage. He makes it work this time, and then just comes on the slightly shorter route. Lower and more direct, and both of those added up. STT's Danube and Blessed against Yuki and Matteo. Now Danube and Blessed will think Raiden are possibly here for the taking. Yuki and Matteo are both great pilots as well, but they're not as quick as Vincent Mayans, and he only just won that last race, and they will want revenge for that. Here's Matteo in the lead. Yuki with him. Danube and Blessed just fractionally behind them both. Yuki leads them out through the dive chute. Then Matteo sees Danube just dropping in front of him now. And talking of drops, Matteo's going to have to make that work. He overshot slightly. Still in third place though. Now he comes up to the rails here. Oh, he's hit the turn too soon. Turn too tightly. Blessed has got past him. Matteo has lost a couple of seconds. Yuki's chasing Danube into the ladders. Blessed is 1 second behind him, so Yuki will get an occasional view of him as he does those turns. And in fact, Danube has gone behind him as well as Yuki has swallowed them up and is getting away. If he can make this turn like Mayans did, then he'll stay ahead of Danube as they start lap number 2 through block trade. Danube gaining on him. Yuki trying to hang on to this lead, but Danube is cornering fantastically well through SW Project and around here, and Danube carries more speed. Yuki still in the lead at the moment, but it seems to be one turn is his, and then the next turn is Danube's. Can he straighten it out? Can he get cleanly away? Going through these 180s really well. Doesn't realise that Danube is pulling in front of him again. Oh, this is so exciting between these two teams. In previous seasons, Raiden and SDT were not a close match at all, but over the recent years, SDT have improved and improved. Raiden have been winning World Championship titles. Now SDT are giving them a real fight. We're on board again with Raiden. These ladders, it's not tidy for Yuki at all. It's not flowing, not very smooth. Danube hasn't got anywhere ahead of him, though. This is better for Yuki. This slaloming is good. And Danube is still there. Now we turn for lap number 3 through block trade, and away we go. It's only 1/10 of a second between the two pilots. This is where Danube got away from Yuki after catching him on the previous lap. But Yuki is staying with him here. He's underneath him on that turn, and now after the corkscrews comes the castle, and both of them are going to fly this really well. It's about 1800ths of a second between the two of them. We switch down through the dive chute. That's all good. Coming up to the tunnel, and on the turn out of that, Danube has missed it. Danube's turned too soon, missed the pylon exit. And Yuki is ahead of him, and now the chase is on, and Danube's got to get this under control as there's not a lot of race left. He's 8/10 behind Yuki, heading to the ladders, and he looks a bit rattled. Into the first, and he's hit the exit of the first. The route just seemed not too smooth, like he's just lost a little bit of the concentration. And surely Yuki will take this to another win for Raiden Racing, but it's going to be another 5 points all. Danube. And then Blessed, and then Matteo.
It was, yeah, nice.
Winner.
Bro, you are on fire then, Danube.
Danube finishes with a smile on his face and some praise from Shrimpy Boy, but Yuki's the one with the big points. So here's Danube just turning inside. Had to go back, complete it, managed to do all those obstacles nice and cleanly, but Yuki was away from him and it did just seem to break his concentration. Here's Yuki at the end, going a little wide almost to the Galaxy building, but made it work and finished in first. Shrimpy Boy, Danube, Silvio and Blessed, Yuki, Vincent, Matteo and Mad X. It's the DCL Big Heat. All 8 pilots, it's 10 points all. Wow, what a final race between them this could be. Neither team wants a draw here. And they both feel like they fought and they just want to get the extra nudge over the other team. We're seeing Yuki, who's right in a battle. Silvio just ahead of him. Shrimpy Boy swinging around. Mayans just ahead of him too. 1.2 seconds separates all 8 pilots here. Yuki to the drop. Makes the turn. Mayans still ahead of him and Silvio. Matteo, another Raiden pilot, currently in 4th, but he's having some problems and he's falling all the way to the back of things. Meanwhile, Yuki is looking like he's struggling to keep it all smooth out in front. He nearly missed that pylon entry into the ladders, made the recovery, but that's given Blessed and Danube a chance to get past him, and it's all starting to come undone for Yuki. Yet he is now back into 3rd as Danube was chasing around and then lost a 10th or 2 and has slipped back down out of the point. So it's Mayans chasing Silvio on the start of lap number 2. Yuki in 3rd, Shrimpy Boy in 4th. That's a 5 points all arrangement that neither team wants. Mayans for the corkscrew. Got to try and catch the 1/4 of a second between him and that green drone of Silvio, and Silvio will want to get a win over Mayans now. Mayans chases. Still chasing, a bit closer than he was. Up through the gates and then dropping down for the 180 out of there. Mayans alongside Silvio, just above him now. Coming into the rails, got to drop down and stay underneath them. It's so tight at the top and Mayans makes it work and pulls away and has got almost half a second lead over Silvio now. Silvio's got to make the ladders really smooth and sees Mayans just ahead of him going through. It's still half a second. What can they do with the slaloms? It's been a little bit of a mixed story. Again, Mayans has gone low and Silvio has gone high, and Mayans has found a little bit more time and disappears down onto the start of lap number 3 with a slightly bigger lead than he had. It's Mayans first, Silvio second, then Yuki, and then Danube, but there's only a tenth of a second between third and fourth, so Yuki is in a dangerous spot there. Silvio wants to do something about this lead, that 3/4 of a second that Mayans has got. It's not getting bigger, it's not getting smaller either. Now Silvio chases him into the last parts of the castle. The turn is good for Mayans and Silvio again. The drop down is nice for both of them too. 7/10 of a second. Silvio is running out of time. Under the railings, they're both through there. Nobody hanging around Silvio, a tenth or two closer than he was. The ladders are going to be absolutely perfect if STT want to come out of a win here. Raiden are in the leading position at the moment, but Yuki's got Danube alongside him, and third and fourth are switching around. Silvio, can he do anything about the position that Mayans is in ahead of him? Surely not at this stage. It's going to be another win for Mayans. Silvio will be second, but Danube has stolen third from Yuki.
Buena.
Oh,
Buena.
Mayans doing everything he can out in front and getting another 4 points in his incredible DCL career. But Raiden have let STT get 5 points against them again. Here's the finish from Silvio. Behind him, Yuki is scrapping in the ladders with Danube, and Danube gets him on the third one there. Just stays ahead of him, but it's such a tiny fraction, and Yuki actually gains on him through the slalom, but he's lower, and the climb out of this lets Danube stay ahead of him by just 1/10 of a second. So a very rarely seen 5-all in all 3 races, an absolute tie between STT and Raiden. Elsewhere, it was a little more one-sided for XBlades against Mach 1. China Dragons got maximum points after Haven were a no-show. It was close for Alpha, beating the wildcard team. They needed that, as that moves them a little bit closer to the top 6. China Dragons move up into second, third to 6th. All just got 1 point today. On the next race day, the wildcard team will have a resurgent and furious Raiden to contend with, and Alpha Prop, if they want to get into the top 6, they got to beat the number 2 China Dragons. Join me, Matt Andrews, for those matchups, and we'll see you in the skies.